Today, as of old, American Indians make their crops stretch from harvest to harvest, using methods of food preservation that were discovered centuries ago. Today, as then, the principles are the same. Every housewife knows that pre-cooking is a first step in food preservation because it destroys the enzymes that may cause undesirable flavor. The housewife pre-cooks by blanching with boiling water or steam. The Hopis use their open ovens to pre-cook corn by roasting. No kettles, no containers, no pressure cookers, no modern paraphernalia of any kind. Hung in the open, the sun's rays dry them out. And there you have it. First pre-cooking, then drying. Probably the oldest known method of food preservation. But it's the basis of some of the most widely used of modern techniques, the techniques of dehydration. For many years, the dehydration of foods has been the subject of extensive and continuous research. The war stimulated this research because in war, the bulk and weight of foods become tremendously important. So science found new ways to save weight, space, containers, transportation, ways to perfect these featherweight foods without destroying important food elements. Temperature control, synchronization of mechanical handling and chemical reaction, the elimination of bacterial development. Science redoubled its efforts, finding better ways to preserve precious vitamins and nutritional values. Science improved texture, odor, flavor, and taste until, as today, you can hardly distinguish many of the newer dehydrated dishes from those cooked fresh. New methods were developed to extend keeping qualities for indefinite periods and in any climate. Mechanical engineers have developed working models to test out proper air currents for drying the foods. In the laboratories, countless experiments have been run to determine, for example, the exact brine solution that will make possible the quick removal of potato skins without destroying the important food values that lie directly under the skin. Peeling without waste of food or vitamins or minerals. From farms such as this comes the milk to make dry skim. Milk solids without fat, one of the most important dehydrated foods in point of value. From little trickles into quarts and gallons, and from quarts and gallons into a regular Niagara of milk. By the end of 1943, it was flowing into the dehydrating plants at the rate of over 639 million gallons a year, enough to float a fleet of battleships. It takes about 5 quarts of milk to make 1 pound of dry skim. In other words, the milk shrinks down to less than 1/10 its original weight and 1/4 its original bulk. And that's one reason it is so valuable when shipping space is at a premium. From the cows to the plant in a matter of just a few hours, it's handled with going to your table in fluid form. Is the #1 requirement for any food that is to be dehydrated. Milk for the drying plants usually goes first to a nearby creamery to be separated. The cream is made into butter. The dehydration plant serves a number of creameries in its close vicinity. From the tank trucks, the skim milk is piped inside. Some plants handle as much as 400,000 pounds of fluid milk a day, as much as is used by a city the size of Denver. Inside, the milk is put through condensers, where heat removes about half of its water content. Then it's cooled again, flowing over the coolers at about the consistency of cream. The drying units in this plant are oblong cabinets. Inside the cabinets, the milk is forced into fine spray. Around each spray is a continuous blast of hot air, 350 degrees, transforming the milk into a fine powder almost instantly. Dropping through a hopper, then into a moisture-proof barrel, ready for shipment. Milk, with all its vitamins and proteins, all except the fat and the water. It's easy to see how you can get water out of milk because milk is liquid to begin with. But vegetables, well, they're mostly water too. Take carrots, about 90% moisture. If that moisture is removed, it's very apparent that the real food value will pack down into mighty little space and weight. Fresh from the fields to the drying plant in as short a time as possible. That's one of the secrets of a good job of dehydration. "300 tons of carrots a day can be handled at this plant. Every carrot handled individually, topped and tipped and trimmed, every defect removed. Through a pressure washer and water conveyor, up an elevator into a rotary pressure washer, and a thorough rinse. A peeling solution at exactly the right heat loosens the skins in about 2.5 minutes. The skins wash off in another rotary washer. Washed, rewashed, peeled, and thoroughly cleaned, the carrots go over an inspection belt. They are diced by machine. Other vegetables may be diced or sliced or shredded. Spread out in thin, even layers on trays, the carrots go through a steam blancher, quite a refinement in pre-cooking over the old Indian method. Eight minutes at 212 degrees Fahrenheit sets the color and destroys any enzymes. The trays are made of slats or wire mesh so that the heated air forced around them in the dryers will carry off the moisture. Into a primary drying tunnel. As one car goes in, another is pushed out. Fans draw the heated air inside through louvers at the sides. The carrots have lost all but about 25 or 30% of their moisture content. Now into a secondary tunnel where they're kept for 5 hours at a temperature of 163 degrees and at a relative humidity down to 12%. Then out of the secondary tunnel. Over 95% of their moisture is gone. Remember, they were about 90% water to begin with. No need to ship all that water to Europe, Africa, or Asia. What a saving in bulk and weight. Over a final inspection belt and into 5-gallon cans. Each can gets slapped around to pack down the carrots until it holds 19 pounds, or what were 4 bushels in the field. They'll keep in these cans indefinitely, depending primarily on conditions of storage. To make sure they'll keep, this machine exhausts the air from the can and substitutes some inert gas, such as carbon dioxide or nitrogen. The cans are sealed and the carrots are ready for shipment and use. list of dehydrated foods is long and is growing longer. Citrus juices are being made into powder. Cranberry sauce is turned into flakes and powder. There are other types of dryers, too. With the drum dryer, the liquid, this is tomato juice, is spread on a heated revolving cylinder or drum. Formed into a sheet, like tissue paper, it is carried by a conveyor to a hammer mill, which reduces it to powder. Another type of rotary drum dryer is used for drying meats. Cooked ground pork passes through the inside of the cylinder under blasts of heated air. After most of the moisture has been removed, it is compressed in tin cans for shipment. Ten sides of pork, that's 5 big hogs. And in front, you see the same amount of pork, canned and boxed, after it's been dehydrated. Conveyor dehydrators are a relatively new type. These pre-cooked potatoes are riced onto the conveyor, which carries them through the drying chamber. This kind of dryer has the advantage of providing a continuous operation. 1/3 of all the eggs produced in the United States in 1943 were dried. They are broken by hand, so each one can be inspected. But after that, the process is entirely mechanical. Spick and span and scrupulously clean, this cone dryer has a 24-hour capacity of 4 tons of egg powder. Eggs are sprayed in under pressure. A continuous blast of hot air surrounds the spray and dries it immediately, the dried particles falling down the inside of the dryer. Exactly the same process as is used for drying milk. The thick, soft powder is scooped out at the bottom. Not a hand touches it. Each box holds the equivalent of 1 dozen eggs, and no danger of broken shells. They're good for cakes and custards, bacon with eggs, and omelets, and they're good scrambled. About the only order they won't fill is sunny side up. The boxes are given a wax bath. They'll shed water like a duck's back. Oh, no, this is not some inventor's nightmare. It's a machine developed to help preserve dried foods under almost any conditions of transportation and climate. On every box is the familiar eagle under which millions of pounds of eggs were shipped under Lend-Lease. And what does it mean in cargo space? One ship carries the equivalent of 6 shiploads of ordinary food. Less bulk, less weight. And if you think that's not tremendously important, mud, rain, shells, danger. But in war, it's mobility that counts. And an army moves on its stomach. 5 trucks of fresh food, moreover, would make a big target, but a little Jeep can carry the same amount dehydrated. No matter on what battlefront, and no matter under what conditions, our boys must have food and plenty of it. But there's no room for bulky packages here. Yet, what a bulk of food a small package can hold when it's dehydrated. Enough for a company. 20 minutes from the time the reconstituted food is on the stove, it's ready for the mess line. That's the stuff that puts heart into a fighter, cold and wet outside, but mighty warm and good inside. Yes, sir, dehydrated foods helped win many a battle and give hope and life to countless of our allies in war-devastated countries. Dehydrated foods, by no means the least of the contributions of science to victory. And after the war, well, dehydrated foods already have found their way into countless kitchens. Commercial food makers, such as hotels, restaurants, bakeries, candy manufacturers, also use them in tremendous quantities. The busy housewife, if she chooses, can bring home an entire family dinner in her handbag and without making it bulge either. Convenience and variety, two things that are important in the kitchen. No peeling or paring, no washing, no waste. In mighty short order, a dinner. For the housewife, a new choice in the matter of foods, new possibilities in its form and use and convenience. And for the American farmer and the food industries, new possibilities in production, new markets, fresh horizons of opportunity that are always a part of the American way of life.